Hi, Dr. Paul Haider, Master Herbalist here. You know what? I get this all the time. Where's the best place to buy herbs? Where's the best place to buy herbs? And all this stuff. And I want to clear it up and tell you exactly where. I think it's really important. And that way you'll know and exactly what this is all about. You know, I find it interesting that, you know, people think one place is going to be better than in another. Uh, well, herbs are really just like medication. Some herbs will work for one person and they won't work for the other person because we have different chemistries slightly, and we have different ideas and thoughts and beliefs. And it's interesting that some antibiotics don't work for some people and they give you a different one. Some antidepressants don't work for some people, they give you a different one. Why do we think that herbs are going to be any different? I don't know. It's really no different whatsoever. Some of those herbs, like valerian, ended up being Valium, and some of the other ones too. And so they're basically the same as, some of the medications. So it's really interesting that we think that herbs are going to be different from medications as far as that goes. And really, they should only be used for 7 to 10 days and take a break because they put a burden on our liver, our kidneys, and our nervous system. And except for the food ones like chlorella and spirulina, garlic and ginger and things like that, which we can take for a long period of time. Also, there's variability when we are growing anything. My dad was a rice farmer, and some years we had a bumper crop of rice, and it was really great and did well. Other years, my dad tried his best, but it just was not a good year, and so it wasn't that much in the way of yield. And the same thing goes with herbs. You know, some herbs are harder to grow than others, and some only grow in certain climatic situations, and they only grow in certain countries, like cinnamon in certain countries, and ashwagandha in certain countries, and, valerian, in fact, has to grow in a cool climate, so that's also important. All these different things. And there can be active ingredients which are higher in some years and lower some years, depending on the stresses and strains and the amount of moisture and how hot it was, and if they're using organic manure and things like that. It all depends upon all these different things. It's just like going and when I used to drink wine way back many years ago, and you go to particular vineyards, and we would go in Monterey. Was one of my favorite places, one of my favorite wineries. And some years in this high rocky cliffed hill, they would have a beautiful varietal. It was absolutely stunning. And other years, it was not that great. And I have to say that it depends on what the growing season was, and they would have to blend it a little bit in order to get exactly what they wanted from other areas of the vineyard in order to get that to work out to be exactly what they wanted. And so the same thing goes for herbs. Sometimes I know people who grow olives way up in rocky cliffs in Italy, and they get really wonderful olives, but it's a really tough thing to harvest those olives and that type of thing. But some years they get a lot of rain and they do really well. Some years there's no rain, they don't do well at all. The olives aren't that great, and on and on and on. So it really depends upon what's going on with that particular farmer. And they are farmers, there's no doubt about it. And I know particular herbal farmers myself, and they make very little money. It's like, in general, farmers. You don't see, except for the corporate farmers, you know what I mean? But there's not very much in the way of corporate farmers for herbs. It just doesn't happen. It's all little people who are actually growing things and they sell them to companies. And from there, it goes on. It's kind of like green tea. Green tea, you know, Yeah, I find it very interesting. Green tea is grown a lot around the world, and we don't see a whole lot of variability in it because I guess we don't expect a lot of variability in it. But we enjoy green tea. As far as herbs go, though, I have a lot of people say, that's a fake herb. That doesn't work at all, and that type of thing. Well, it doesn't work for you. It works for the next person down the line. Like my wife doesn't get along with ginger, but excuse me, she gets along with ginger, and I don't get along with ginger, but actually, and I really just don't care for it. It doesn't make me feel good. So everybody's a little different. So we have to take that in. And a lot of people don't have the ability to see that just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it doesn't work for somebody else. So we have to allow ourselves to see a little broader spectrum about that. And also, the thing about fake herbs is really a myth. I've ordered from about 100 different companies, and I have not found a single fake herb whatsoever. That it really different doesn't happen. If you're buying from a reputable company that you find online, I buy on Amazon and eBay and all kinds of different, Vitacost and all kinds of different companies. And I've never run across, in over 30 years, I've never run across a fake herb whatsoever. It doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. Man, if you're buying out of somebody's trench coat, that might be different. But it's really, I just don't see it happening. And the growers really want your business. They don't want to go under. There's no doubt about that. They want, they're just surviving. And I think it's really important that we support the growers. And I like to buy local as much as possible. Go to your local health food store and ask them and try different things. And I think it's really important to support the local health food stores as much as possible become friends with them and ask them what news is coming up and that type of thing. And I think that's very, very important. Also, I think it's really important that we broaden our spectrum of understanding of what herbs are all about. Actually, in just an Ayurvedic medicine alone, there's about 100,000 different herbal agents. And Chinese medicine, about 10 times that. In South America, about 100,000. North America, probably about 50 to 75,000 or more. So it's about 2 million different herbal agents and supplements out there. And, in my lifetime, I'll just scratch the surface. There's no doubt about it. It is not possible to know them all. And every year we find, even in the Amazon, we're finding new herbs that are coming out and new healing agents that are coming out because there's just so many different plants that we haven't even cataloged all the different plants in the world. It's not possible so far. I think in the future it will be, but I hope there's always that mystery that a new thing will still always be there, and I think that's really, really important. So a lot of people think, there's only 100 herbs and that's it. No. It doesn't work that way. I think it's really important that we open up and keep a few herbs that we use on a regular basis, on and off, but know that there's lots and lots of different herbs out there. And also, but the biggest thing about healing is, we can have resistance to healing in every way if we are not ready to heal. And I find that instead of having a lot of fake herbs, there's a lot of fake people out there. I mean, they're going through the motions of, this being able to heal themselves and stuff like that, but it's not possible if we are not allowing ourselves to heal from the inside out first. And I think that's really important. I know a 60-year-old man on the East Coast of the United States, and he's had a rough life. Even when he was a kid, he was born into an alcoholic family, and both his mother and father and his dad would come home drunk and beat everybody up, and so he had this huge fear about that, and he became super sensitive to anybody that had any kind of energy like his dad type of thing, and picked up on that all the time. And he also became a people pleaser. He always want to make you happy, but that he was never making himself happy or healing himself from the inside out also. And so he ended up really not good. We went from being a teacher to recreation department director to helping kids and working with baseball teams and basketball teams and all these different things, but always giving, 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 giving. And he ended up being really used up on the inside. And that's, wow, he ended up with a lot of physical ailment problems, which he never dealt with in any way, shape, or form. And because you're really not in love with yourself and not caring about yourself, and you kind of really hate yourself, and when you grow up with something like that, the these symptoms and these problems just kept going on and on and on. He never really dealt with them at all. So we really had to start doing the inner work. And he did come to me, and I said, Jerry, you got to do some things that you really dig down deep. I know that there's some stuff that's holding you back from healing here. And I recommended you do some counseling. I recommended you do some hypnosis and some Reiki and acupuncture and on and on and on. And I have to say, he had worn down his knees to the point that they were both on bone, and he had terrible, terrible pain. But just going on my diet, within 3 weeks, his pain completely disappeared. And wow, that was really great. And he's staying on my diet. He's lost about 75 pounds, and he's got another 93 to go, but we'll get there. There's no doubt about that. But also, he's going through a little bit of the awakening that's happening, and this is really important. I've gone through it myself. If we want to heal in a big way, we got to do the work. There's no doubt about it. We got to awaken to our own stuff, what we hold deep down inside, and start loving the one we see in the mirror. Otherwise, it's not possible to really heal this body because we won't take care of it. Absolutely. So he's doing some counseling, and that's awakened a little bit. That's really just the surface stuff that's awakened. And then he started doing some hypnosis, and wow, that was like big stuff, blew open right there. And he started doing some more deep healing, and he started doing some Reiki, and some great things happened. One of the biggest issues that needed to be addressed was I need to actually forgive myself. And that was a huge thing because, he had some things that he's not proud of he did in his life, you know what I mean? And so we've all done that, been there, done that type of thing, and we need to forgive ourselves, We held on to people, we pushed people away, we made people angry, and all these different things. And in the end, we end up looking at ourselves and saying we're the culprit, but really, and that keeps us from healing and ever looking at ourselves. And a lot of times we just push all this aside, like he did for 60 years, and just kept busy with the outer world so that he would never heal deeply on the inside. And we can't heal outwardly in the body if we don't heal our heart, first of all. It's not possible, absolutely not possible. So it's kind of like growing those herbs, you know what I mean? We got to get the right quality of things together in order to heal our heart and allow ourselves to grow and change to become the person we really want to. This is not a thing for the lighthearted. Most people run away from it. There's no doubt about it. I've gone through it myself. But we need to do that. We have to go through the pains. Some people call it the dark night of the soul, in order to grow and become the person we really want to be. And I see a huge amount of people running away from their own healing right now. And I think that's really one of the things that's causing these huge catastrophes that we're seeing in the news all the time, of shootings and things like that. People are not willing to go inside and heal themselves of all the pain that they suffered as children and as young adults. And that just festers and festers. They keep going outward looking for answers, but the answers are deep down inside that needs to be healed. And when we start healing those issues of our heart, we start to find love for the one we see in the mirror and we also start to find love for everybody else in our lives. And we probably would do things differently as from what we did in the past. But that we can't lament upon that. We have to forgive ourselves for what happened in the past, and we have to allow ourselves to grow and change and allow our next 50, 60 years. And I know that Jerry can have another 60 years or more and really start a new life. And that's the important part, allowing ourselves to grow and change and become a new being and find love for himself, which will bloom to be love for everyone else. Not just love of giving, giving, giving and using himself up, but also allowing himself to find loving people who really care about him and connecting with them and having really nurturing relationships. Toxic relationships are really just kind of dissolve us and eat us down like acid. There's no doubt about that. And then loving, caring relationships that are nurturing, just it's like pouring fertilizer onto a tree, and they grow and become wonderful herbs that like cinnamon or cardamom or different things, and we allow ourselves to become beautiful and flower. That's the most important thing, to flower. And so I'm sure he will flower in the very near future here. He's right on the cusp of breaking through. And I know you can too, and I hope you will go out there, buy whatever herb that's least expensive. I don't find a difference in quality a lot from one place to another whatsoever. And sometimes I buy from one place and it's really fantastic, and sometimes I buy again and it's not exactly the same because there's different growing seasons and things. So allow yourself to understand there's a lot of herbs, there's a lot of different variables involved, and allow yourself to do the healing so that you can heal from the inside out. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And remember, I'm always here for you, but most of all, remember, I love you. If you want to get a hold of me, feel free to get my contact information below. My phone number is 831-869-9119. 831-869-9119. My email is drpaulhaider@gmail.com. That's drpaulhaider, Haider, @gmail.com. And my Skype is drpaulhaider. Send me an invite. And I would love to hear from you. You can go to my Facebook page under Dr. Paul Haider, and you can message me there. And would love to hear from you. My consultations are free, and I always want to help you in any way, shape, or form. Please subscribe, tell others. I would like to help the healing spread as much as possible throughout the world. And if you watch those advertisements, I don't have any control over what they put there, but please watch them because a few pennies comes to my wife and I so that we can sustain ourselves. I appreciate that. If you skip them, we don't get anything. And so that's really important. Thank you. And if you care to make a donation, you can also find the link down below. I am on my website. My website is www.paulhaider.com. www.paulhaider.com. That's www.paulhaider.com. And that's www.paulhaider.com. And you can find all my videos, 600 videos, and 5,000 articles that have been published there. And feel free to enjoy. Have a wonderful day. Remember, I love you.